나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교 Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you for being here. I hope this finds you in good health and secure. I know some of you recently have been enshrining your mandalas of Gohonzon. I want to encourage you, though you may not even need encouraging at this point, because I know in those first few days, weeks, months of having that mandala properly enshrined, things are definitely moving and happening in your life. So just remember these moments. They will carry you through times when your challenging karma you may not even know that you've had. We really don't. But that is to say that as our life improves and manifests itself fully, we may start to see, understand, or have our experience change in ways that we hadn't previously understood existed in our lives. And sometimes that can be a little bit unsettling, to say the least. But remember, that's because you're changing things. You're expressing yourself more fully. And as a result, some of the things you've been dragging along that were just given not by somebody else, but what you understood as just, you never questioned or actually saw with your mind to question, are now full-blown for you to see. It's not because they came out of nowhere. It's because you previously didn't see them. So when those moments, instead of reverting to doubt, like, wow, is this really working or is this causing me problems, realize that your mind is expanding and seeing stuff that's been there all along. You've just been blind to it. So in a way, when those big obstacles, I know we like to call them that, when those things come up that create unsettling feelings, I'll say it that way, we need to recall that this is because they're not new. It's just new to our mind's ability to perceive, see, and understand. And so we should be grateful these, quote, obstacles are in our lives because they've been there all along. What's different is that we're able to now see them, modify them, change them, expiate them, get rid of them. Right? So it should be inspiring instead of, yikes, what the heck is going on? Well, it's been going on all along. You just were blind to it. Wow, that's amazing, right? All right. Because this channel is dedicated to Nichiren's elucidations and doctrine, as well as all the scholars throughout history, Nichiren being our guidance of this time, the time that you and I are in, this huge modern era that's inclusive of so much time, 10,000 years according to the writings. Nichiren is in our epoch, our time. So his elucidations are extremely helpful to us. But what do we all practice? Lotus Sutra Buddhism, or more broadly, Shakyamuni's Buddhism, because the Lotus Sutra is his culminating teaching. But Nichiren helps us to discern all of the teachings and all of the various interpretations, all leading us to this actual practice of the Lotus Sutra, Myoho Renge Kyo. And he stands on the shoulders of all the great scholars before him. So, in that endeavor, since Nichiren and Shakyamuni have explicitly called upon us to study broadly so that we can find our own individual paths and insights, I've created a bookstore. I've created a website, threefoldlotus.com, the web store at lulu.com/spotlight/Kwun. And I've amassed a lot of information, interpretations, sutras, commentary on sutras, scholarship on all of these subjects, to provide an easy avenue for us to have reference material that is, as best as I can determine, the most authoritative, the most scholastic, the most academic, either inside the Buddhist lineage or the academia about Buddhist lineage, both of which are vital to our full comprehension of the teachings of Shakyamuni, right? And in that endeavor, I don't know if I made this available on the Lulu website or not. I'll have to check. I should have checked that this morning. My apologies. But I have this book that I put together on Tendai Lotus text, and there are different authors. This, as you'll see, is a PDF version that I printed that says all rights reserved. So I don't want to, it's probably not available on the website, because I'll print books like this for my study and then my sharing with you insights from that study. So I don't want to cheat anyone out of their rightful financial claims, right? I don't want to do that. And yet, I want to make sure this information doesn't disappear, as it often does on the internet. But since it was published on the internet as a PDF, it's really already been freely distributed. I have no qualms about printing it out, certainly for my own study, right? So, collected in this book of Tendai Lotus texts is a translation of the Infinite Meanings Sutra, or the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings, right? The ovation to the Lotus Sutra. The sutra expounded by the Buddha on practice of the way through contemplation of the Bodhisattva all-embracing goodness. And under these are the Taisho numbers to indicate that they are recorded in the historic documentation of the canon of Buddhism. And so they are, even though these are reprints of translations by authors, there's translators' notes in front of each one of these indicating which translation is found to be authoritative and which was used for this work. And, you know, it's like you hear me say all the time, all of these scholars have the same rhetoric. We've all done the best job we can academically to historically follow the most accurate line of translations for these, what were oral teachings, right? Those two are translated by Tsugunari Kubo and Joseph M. Logan. So there you have it. The commentary on the Lotus Sutra, really interesting, Taisho Volume 26, translated by Terry Abbott, is credited to Vasubandhu's translation. And a guide to the Tendai Fourfold Teaching, a really interesting, translated by Masao Ichishima and David W. Chappelle. All of this made available through the Bukkyo Dendo Kyokai America, Inc. And so it's copyrighted 2013 by Bukkyo Dendo Kyokai and Bukkyo Dendo Kyokai America, Inc. No part of this book can be, so I can't share it with you other than talking about it. The ISBN, if you're interested in purchasing this book yourself, is 978 188 6439 450. So, this is all done under the auspices of the Tripitaka Project, so that you can add that to your filtration of how this is translated. There were a couple of things on here that I noticed this morning as I was rereading part of it that relates directly to many of the things we've been discussing lately. And so I wanted to share something out of the Chapter 2 Dharma Discourse of the Innumerable Meanings Sutra, and spend a little time discussing that. World Honored One, what is the Dharma approach called? What is its essence? How does a bodhisattva practice it? And this is, in the Innumerable Meanings, a sutra, the opening to the Lotus Sutra, when Shakyamuni is introducing this ultimate teaching. This teaching that is the one vehicle, not the Shravaka, Pratyeka, Buddha, Bodhisattva, not those triple teachings, but the one essential teaching on Bodhisattva, as we know. But and so this is the back and forth. If you've read the Lotus Sutra and the Innumerable Meanings, you already know this. But I want to reread this part, and this is slightly different translation, because I want to show you that it says, even in the introduction to the Lotus Sutra, exactly what we've been talking about on the middle path, on things being but not being. In other words, everything being a flow of energy in instantiations of every form that are possible within samsara, that they're all moment-to-moment instantiations. That's why they arise. They endure for a slight moment as they decay and go, and then reinstantiate. When we can see the world with that kind of eye, with that kind of understanding, that thingness, permanence in everything we see is an illusion, that everything is in a flow of being and decaying, then there's really nothing to grasp onto. That's the illusion. That's the emptiness, is that everything is momentary. So to grasp onto something, to adhere to it, to attach our identity to it, is folly. There's nothing there to attach to. The attachment is momentary and folly. So when we understand our environment and ourselves in that way, we're free from it. We don't have to feel anxiety, sorrow, loss, right? This is what we've been talking about. So in this ancient document, in his introduction to the Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni tells us as much. So the reason I want to do this is because we can look at Nagarjuna and his deep discussions on emptiness. We can read Vasubandhu on the skandhas and emptiness as well. And we can read this all over the place from different scholars throughout time, all the way through Tendai and Miaulo and Dengyo and Nichiren. And what we find is that these scholars didn't create anything new. What they did was repeat the same things that Shakyamuni had taught thousands of years or hundreds of years, depending on which scholar before them, in a way that the audience at their time in history could get it, could find mental access to it, understand it. And this is the exegesis for all of us. This is part and parcel of Shakyamuni's teachings, is teaching to the capacity of the people in your time, in your culture, in the language of your culture, that there is no defined language for Buddhism, that there is no this language, this script is the teaching of Buddhism. Shakyamuni blew all that apart. He was asked about it, and his response was, whatever the local language is, so that those people will understand through their cultural identity, fittings of samsara. There's no pious religious language in Buddhism. Buddhism is a way of thinking, a way of realizing what we're actually experiencing in our lives. This is very difficult for people to understand, certainly in the West. But there's magical thinking all over the world, attributing powers to things outside the self. Buddhism says, stop it. That's the dream. That's the fallacy. And you're running your life based on this dream. Stop it. Look at what's really happening around you. It's so much more awesome, amazing, precious. You just need to understand what's actually the process of life in everything, including yourself, right? So here we are in the introduction. We're in this, there's 3 chapters to the Immeasurable Meanings, or the Infinite Meanings, as it's called here. And is this Manjushri questioning him? I think it is. I guess at this point it's all the 80,000, but they're being addressed by... Yeah, 80,000. I thought they had gotten to Manjushri. Anyway, so the question being, so what is this practice? What are you introducing to us? And Buddha replies, O you of good intent, this particular Dharma approach is known as infinite meanings. A bodhisattva who wishes to achieve mastery in the practice of infinite meanings must perceive and observe that in and of themselves, all phenomena intrinsically have been, successively will be, and currently are tranquil and empty. In nature and aspect, without greatness or smallness, without origination or cessation, neither fixed nor moving, non-advancing and non-retreating. Like the emptiness of space, they are without duality. Living beings, however, thoughtlessly and falsely make polar assessments. Quote, it is this. Quote, it is that. Quote, it is gain. Quote, it is loss. Unwholesome thoughts arise in them, producing harmful karmic results or causes. They cycle and recycle in the 6 realms of existence, the lower worlds, right? Piling up harmful passions and sufferings, and for hundreds of millions of myriads of kalpas they cannot break themselves free. Clearly perceiving this, the great being Bodhisattva, the Mahasattva, Bodhisattva, must bring forth a mind of mercy and give rise to great compassion, particularly wishing to relieve living beings of suffering. Now, I'm going to stop there. Isn't that exactly what we've been reading in Nagarjuna, in Tendai, in Vasubandhu, in all of this scholarship regarding emptiness, energy, quietude, this ongoing roiling mix, inertia, momentum of energy giving us instantiations of all sort. It's brilliant to watch, but to grab it mentally as though it was something you owned or possessed or identified with makes as much sense as you walking up to a television monitor and grabbing something on the screen. It's just not there. It's a manifestation of energy, and it's entertaining. It's wonderful to watch. I'm a painter, so I can play with it and manipulate it. But I'm creating it in the sense that my mind is seeing what I'm doing, but I'm also incorrectly hanging on to the mark as though it is now permanent, is going to be with me, right? This is what he means when he says, all phenomena intrinsically have been, successively will be, and currently are tranquil and empty, not static. That's our mind doing that. Seeing that instantiation over and over and over and over in our minds makes it permanent. And because it's permanent, we can hang on to it. Now, that is now mine. Like he says, it is this, it is that, it is gain, it is loss. This is what the root of our suffering is about, our anxiety, our stress. Do you see that this is what Buddhism is about? It's not about looking at the whole world like it's a mirage, although that word is used. It's shifting our understanding mentally that there's nothing in all phenomena that we can own or possess. It's just an experience. Enjoy the experience. I have all these paintings around me in here because this is also my painting studio. And so I can look around and I can enjoy that experience of expression on a canvas made with paint. But I understand that it's not me. I'm not identified with it. Others will identify me. Oh, I see your style. Yeah, great. That's you that's seeing something. It's not my style that's on a painting. You are seeing something that's totally your own, not mine. What I see is something that I played around with, and it's hanging out with me for a while. I'm not attached to it. If somebody set him on fire, I would be concerned about my health. I would get him out of the room so they wouldn't burn down the whole building, right? Those kinds of concern. But I wouldn't feel personally hurt. I would feel bad that they felt like they had to burn it. What are you going through that motivates you to burn a painting? That's where my head would go. I wouldn't be, hey, that's mine. Don't burn it. What are you doing? You're destroying me. See, that's where the problem is. That's suffering. That's stress. That's gain or loss. That's, you're touching me. No, you're not. You're expressing something painful in yourself. I want to know what's causing that. How can I ameliorate that? How can I take that away? Why do you need to be so destructive? What's motivating you? I can show you how not to do that anymore. I can show you a better way to live. Obviously, you're expressing tremendous stress, anxiety. It's not the painting that's doing that to you. You're doing that to you. Let's get to that. Let's fix that. What about the paint? What about the painting? As long as it doesn't hurt anything else, it was gone anyway. You see, this is what Buddha's talking about. This is our entire Buddhist practice. That's why I'm constantly repeating that Buddhism is about our mind, our attitude, our intent. Do we immediately go to protect self? Or do we immediately go to, wow, what's causing that? How can I repair that? How can I remove that suffering? What's our attitude? And what do we do with that attitude? Do we have an intent? Hey, stop burning my painting. I'm going to this or that you. Right? There's that intent. But hey, stop it. Why are you doing that? What's motivating you? How can I help you not do that? I know how to help you, but are you ready to hear? Come on. Let's get rid of this stress, this suffering. Look at you. You're all mad. You're not doing your heart any good. What are you going through? What's the stress here? How can we get rid of that? Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. I know it doesn't say that specifically, but that's exactly what he's saying. He's meaning. Don't get mystified here and think that we just walk around with a magic wand and just make things disappear. What disappears is our possession, our attachment, our endurance of things. That's where the problem is. It's in the mind. Let's finish this. We'll read a little more of it. He goes on to say, he or she must then more completely fathom all phenomena, aspects of phenomena being as such will phenomena come forth, aspects of phenomena being as such will phenomena settle, aspects of phenomena being as such will phenomena change, aspects of phenomena being as such will phenomena become void. So he's saying it again in a different way. As you understand that everything is this constantly instantiating energy of formations that just really doesn't exist for any. I mean, look at the age of the universe. If this painting lasts 100 years, and go to any museum and look at how hard they're working to keep those paintings from just falling on the floor. 100 years isn't even a bip in the history of time-space, right? I'm going to keep pushing that word because I think it sounds more true than space-time. That's just something I'm hung up on, right? Yeah, we're all human, after all. But how do we understand our humanness? How hung on it are we? So again, it becomes void not because we watch it disappear. It becomes void because our attachment to it disappears. Poof. Now I can just look at it and go, wow, that's a cool painting. It's just not even, I don't even see it as mine or that I created it. I see what my mind created. Sure, I have my own ideas about that. But it's much more fascinating to me when I see other minds experience it. Oh, look at you. Look at what do you see in it? Oh, interesting. How do you feel about it? Is really how you feel about yourself. Has nothing to do with that. Because it's a suchness. Right? Aspects of phenomena being as such, an unwholesome phenomenon is able to come forth. Aspects of phenomena being as such, a wholesome phenomena is able to come forth. Where does this come forth from? Your mind, not from the painting. Is this making sense? Aspects of phenomenon being as such, a wholesome phenomenon is able to come forth. So it is also with regard to settling, changing, and becoming void. There is arising, endurance, decay. Whew. It's a momentary experience. Have the experience, don't own it. After perceiving, observing, and fully understanding everything about these four modes, from beginning to end, the Bodhisattva must next perceive and observe that all phenomena are impermanent. There it is. Coming forth and becoming void over and over again from moment to moment. Oh my God, it's like I wrote this. You realize how funny that was? And further grasp that their coming forth, settling, changing, and becoming void are instantaneously occurring. Here's my drop the mic moment. How many times have you point. It's not a line, it's a series of points. What are points? Locations. They're not even things. It's in the introduction to the Lotus Sutra, folks. Having perceived and comprehended this, the Bodhisattva will then have insight into the various conditioned desires of the senses of living beings. All right, I'm going to stop there. This is It excites me to read this. I guess you could tell. It excites me because it's so reasonable. It's exciting because it means that enlightenment can be understood. It means that I can do it. It's like a recipe. A pinch of this, a pinch of that, a bunch of this. Whew, cake. It's amazing that this mental investigation, this science of the mind, that it isn't, first of all, it hasn't been extinguished, but more to my frustration, why isn't this everywhere? Just that, the second chapter of the Innumerable Meanings Sutra or Infinite Meanings Sutra, why isn't that in our government? Why isn't that in our schools? Why isn't that part of everyone's life? So that while we're teenagers trying to identify self all day long, that there's one among us going, well, remember what we learned in grammar school? Remember what our philosophy teacher told us in high school? Don't be so hung up on all this stuff, on yourself. Partake of the joy. Stop trying to hang on to everything. What was that song? Do, 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 do. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Oh my goodness. It makes it sound so easy. But Buddhism is intricate. But the message is just so simple, right in your face. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying your practice. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you so much for partaking of these videos, podcasts, downloading the podcast. It's going great. Yeah. Like if you like this. Dislike it if that's your wish. It's here for you. I'm here for you and myself. I get great joy from doing this. Don't know if you can tell. But this channel, these videos, use the search, use the website, use the bookstore, whatever information I can make available for you, either free through the website or printing costs and so forth on the bookstore. Get yourself a mandala if you don't have one already. Enshrine it with respect. There's directions on that on the website. There's directions on that in books. And on the website, it'll tell you how to enshrine, create an altar, all of that. It's really a great resource. I don't know, just take care of your health. There's joy in everything. You just need to see it. And my patrons, makes me cry, the joy I feel from your support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now I'm going to shut up, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.